Welcome to today's VulnHub video. I do apologise if my voice gets a bit croaky during this video. I've got a bit of a cold, which seems to be the first now that summer's coming to an end. Okay, so let's go and get started while I slurp on my lemsip. So I have my VulnHub, which we're doing today, which is called DerpNStink, which is quite a fun system that I've been doing recently. So we have that running in VirtualBox here, which looks to be a version of Ubuntu. And we also have our attacking system Kali here, which I'm just going to go ahead and full screen and get started. Okay, so first of all, let's just double check what IP address we're running on. Okay, so this attacking machine is on 127.168.1.101, and I have a ping sweep script here, which I'm just going to double check is the right IP range, which it is. And I'm going to drag that in and run that to find the IP of my vulnerable VM, which is on 101. So now we know that, we can go ahead and run our nmap scan to look at the ports of this DerpNStink box and see what services look to be running. So this is going to be scanning all of the ports. And it will give us an idea of what services we might be able to interrogate. Okay, so I've got 3 quick results there. We can see that FTP port looks to be open on 21, SSH on 22, and web server of some kind running on port 80. Or certainly that's what they look to be if they're using the default ports. Okay, so let's go ahead and start to probe these different ports then. So first of all, let's have a look at the SSH port. Okay, so we'll go ahead and select yes. So we've got permission denied when trying to connect with root to that SSH port. So let's go ahead and click clear now and look at the FTP port. So 172.16.81.102, and it's asking us for our name. So let's try and see if anonymous logon is allowed, which is not. But I can see what version of FTP is running there. So VS FTPD version 302. I did have a quick look online to see if there was any obvious exploits for that, but didn't see any in my first check. And the next thing which we'll do is we'll have a quick look at the website. So let's open up our browser. Okay, so we land on this page which says DerpNStink. So let's see if we can inspect the source of this. So let's have a look at inspect elements. And we'll have a quick browse through here to see if there's anything interesting which jumps out at us. So we've got a reference to a web notes directory, info.txt. So we'll certainly check that out in a moment. browse into these directories here. Looks like we're going into some nested structure in the HTML here. And we've got a try harder classic OSCP reference. If we keep digging in there and drilling down, we eventually reach the bottom and we have what looks to be our first flag. So I wasn't aware this was actually a catch the flag VM, but that's also a lot of fun. So we've got our first flag there, which we can go ahead and note down. So the next thing I'll do is, I certainly saw a reference to a web notes directory with an info.txt file on there, so I'm going to have a quick look at that. Okay, it says @Stinky, make sure to update your host file with local DNS to make sure DerpNStink blog can be reached before it goes live. So, first of all, I'd probably make a note that Stinky looks to be a potential username, so I'd note that down. Also, if we try the web notes directory, interesting, looks like we're getting a HTML page with some information on. Let's have a quick look at the source of that page. It's a much better view for us. So it certainly looks like Stinky is being used as a username. You can see there right at the bottom, Stinky is logged in. So let's go ahead and update our local host file to make sure that this DNS is being properly resolved for us. Just before I go and do that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to kick off Directory Buster . Okay, just need to edit that path slightly, and that's now working to find us those directories. We've got a JavaScript directory, JS, PHP, temporary, weblog, so a few things we can check out. So let's go ahead and check out that weblog directory. Look at this weblog. Looks like we're having trouble connecting to that. So let's go ahead and modify our host file as we were instructed. And let's go ahead and add in our post file details. I'll exit out of that and save that. Now let's go back to our weblog URL. And now we have a fully rendered weblog, and you can actually see at the bottom this is being powered by WordPress. I've got a reference to a Mr. Derp there, Uncle Stinky, a few various posts, and so on. I'm just going to have a quick check of some other directories I saw that came up in this directory buster listing. So one of them was temporary. Which just says try harder, so it doesn't seem to be much there. And nothing much in the page source either. Let's have a quick look at the PHP directory, and that says forbidden. Okay. Let's also have a look for the robot.txt file. And it's just referencing the two directories that we already know about. Okay, so now we know that this is actually running WordPress. Let's go ahead and have a look at the login page for WordPress. So here's where we can try and actually find out usernames, or possibly try brute forcing the passwords of these accounts to get into the WordPress area here. So the first thing we're going to do is just do a quick scan to find out about the users using WP scan. So I'm going to use the left hand area now. Paste in my command there, so WP scan, specify the URL that it's looking for with the directory, and also enumerate U, which is enumerate the users. And I think it's double tap. It's going to work properly. Just trying to update the database files, which we can probably do at the moment. Yes, we will redirect. Okay. So WP scan is now running properly. So we've got a couple of user accounts identified. So we've got an Uncle Stinky and we've got an admin. So those are the two that we're going to try and work with. There's also a few interesting results if we scroll up a little bit further. But there's a vulnerability available for one of the plugins, which is the Trivial Slideshow Gallery, a version less than 1.5.3. which is arbitrary file upload and cross-site scripting. And the next one as well also says a vulnerability against Trivial Slideshow Gallery for authenticated cross-site scripting. A little bit higher towards the top, there's Slideshow Gallery arbitrary file upload. So we can have a quick look into this now to see exactly what we might be able to do with these. So let's go online to ExploitDB, and we can have a look at one of those. Let's just quickly bring the browser over and have a look at Exploit DB. So WordPress plugin, slideshow gallery, 1.4.6 arbitrary file upload, which is a Python script. You can see there the arguments that it's taking is a username and a password, as well as a PHP file, in this case for upload. So it does need authenticated credentials for us to allow us to upload an arbitrary file. So we'll definitely come back and try this once we think we've got some. Let's go ahead and full screen our system again. So what I can try and do now is I might just actually start to use WP scan to try and brute force either one of those two passwords there. So WP scan, we've set our URL and path. We're using a John password list there. I'm going to fire that off. So there, now it's started brute forcing the Uncle Stinky account. And this is just going to take a few minutes, so we'll skip forward to the end of this in the video now. Great, so now I've had my coughing fit, and we've also got some success with our brute forcing. So you can see it was unsuccessful finding the password for Uncle Stinky, but it did have success finding the password for the user admin, and the password is admin. So let's go ahead and log into the interface. So we can go ahead and use these credentials now to maybe try and use that Python script to upload a file to the system. Okay, so let's go ahead and download our Python executable. Okay, so I'm just going to rename that to a .py file, shared folder, so we can access it from our attacking system. Okay, here we go. I'm going to just copy that. I'm going to put that in my DerpNStink folder. Yeah, great. So the next thing we're going to want to do is actually find a some kind of arbitrary file that we want to upload. So as we know that there's PHP files on the system and it's a PHP based website, we're going to try and upload a PHP reverse shell. So first of all, we want to find our reverse shells on our system. Go ahead and click clear here. So first of all, we'll go ahead and find our web shells. So if we go to user share web shells. You can see what web shells we have on this version of Kali. We're going to use a PHP version. I'll list those. We're going to want to use the PHP reverse shell. So I'm just going to copy a version of that. Into my DerpNStink folder. And just have a quick look at the contents of that. This is from Pentest Monkey, and I'm just going to update the IP in here. So it knows where to connect back to into, and let's say port 5555. Going to go and hit save on that. Okay, so now we're ready to try and launch our Python attack on the system using the credentials that we know. So first of all, I'm going to type Python. So let's do it on the left screen so we've got a bit more room. So I'm going to just clear and we'll do Python. And I'm just going to copy in my Python script there. I'm just going to see what parameters it asks for. Okay, so it's asking for our -t target, file, which is our web shell, username and password. So here's all our various variables we want. So we're specifying our target as the remote host and the WordPress location, username admin, password admin for WordPress, and also our web shell, which we just want to make sure it's got the full path so it knows exactly where that is. Just going to drag and drop it in again. And we're ready to fire that off. Username and password accepted and shell uploaded. That's really good. So now let's go ahead and simply browse to that and just see what kind of message we get. See if that file appears to be there. Okay, so we seem to have a very convoluted path due to the way that I actually type that in. So what I'm going to do is just browse into that folder and I'm going to run that again in a slightly different way. So Python, I'm going to run the parameters, we still have those. Okay, we'll run it again and hopefully we should have a bit of a better address now. Okay, that's much better. Let's try that. Great, okay, so that looks to me like the PHP file is there at that location and is ready to actually report back. So in the top right hand window, I'm just going to hit clear and I'm going to start a netcat listener on my local port to listen for that connection coming in. And then I'm just going to visit that URL once more. Great, and you can see it now in the top right hand corner. We now have a limited shell on the DerpNStink system with privileges of www-data. So let's see what we can actually do with this account. So first of all, let's have a quick look at the password file to list all the users. Okay, so I can now see there is a user called Mr. Derp. There is indeed called a user called Stinky, which we thought there would be. You can see FTP, MySQL, and so on. So what I'm going to do now is actually look for a particular config file associated with WordPress, which will give us the MySQL username and password. So let's browse to our var. Oops, let's try again. var www html. Let's have a look in there. Okay, so we've got a couple of PNGs, we've got a robots.txt file, a weblog file, our web notes location. So let's go into our weblog. And I'm going to have a look at the wp config.php file. Just browse up here a little bit further to see what we can see. We can see actually there we have the MySQL database username, which is root, and also the password, which is MySQL. So one thing so let's go ahead and exit out of there just for the moment. And I'm just going to double check my directory buster results. Okay, so this is what I was expecting. We can actually see a phpMyAdmin directory under the PHP directory. So I think I'm going to be able to use our credentials to actually log in there. So if we bring up our phpMyAdmin, we actually get a login page now for PHP. And I'm going to try those credentials that we just found there. Great, so now I can actually go in and look at the databases behind the WordPress installation. What I'm particularly interested in finding is the password hashes for the WordPress user accounts. Obviously we know that the admin account is password admin. There's also a user account called Uncle Stinky, which we don't know the password to, which maybe I can use that password to get into the SSH service or some other area of the system. So let's have a look at the database now. So if we go into the WordPress database, WordPress users, and if we look on the right here, you can see there is our password hash for Uncle Stinky. So this is what I'm interested in getting hold of. So let's now in the top right, let's just clear and go into our DerpNStink folder. And I'm going to create a file called hash. I'm going to paste in this PHP hash for Uncle Stinky's password. There we go. And I'm going to exit out of that and save it. Okay, so now we have this hash file here, which has got some data in it. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to actually try and crack this PHP password using John the Ripper. So there you go. So I'm going to run John over the file hash, and I'm going to use the word list rock you. Okay, here, so John is telling me that it's actually already cracked the password in here because I've run John over this particular PHP hash before. But suffice to say that the password what we identified was in the rockq.txt file, and we can use John now just to show us what that password is. There you go. So it's telling me that this PHP password hash for WordPress is wedgie57. So again, we can go back to our login area. Let's just log out as the admin. And we can now log in as Uncle Stinky. And we use the password wedgie57. Okay, great. So now we're logged in to WordPress as Uncle Stinky, and as you can see, we have much more control here. We have much more what looks like an administrator level access to this area. So let's have a quick look in the posts area again. And you can see we have a flag.txt, which is a draft which has not been posted yet. And great, we've now found the second flag on the system. So we're making some good progress now. Okay, so we now have control of WordPress. We found a couple of flags, and we also have a low privilege shell on the system. We also have a new password for Uncle Stinky, which I want to now go and try if I can actually use this. Let's use the left hand area here. Let's actually see if this password is any good for us for SSH access. So we'll do Stinky. Okay, so it's still saying permission denied, public key. So it looks like rather than just a password and username combination, that SSH is requiring some kind of key. So there's another service running on the system which is FTP. So let's go ahead and see if we can log in to the FTP service using our newly found credentials. Okay, so Stinky is the username. Password is wedgie57. Great, so it now looks like we have FTP access, and all we can see at the moment is a folder called files. So let's have a look in there. And we can see a few things in here. We've got test.txt, network logs, SSH, and temp. So let's have a quick look at each one of these first. So let's have a look in temp. So there's nothing in there. Now let's have a look at that test file. So get test.txt. So this just says vs ftpd test file. So now let's have a look in the network logs directory, derp issues. So let's have a look at the derp issues text file. So can't log into WordPress anymore. Can you look into it? Looks like some communications copied into a text file. Talking about doing a packet capture in an attempt to fix the access issues. So it's just a bit of information for us maybe to look out for a pcat file somewhere. And now let's have a look into the SSH folder finally. Another SSH folder. Okay, it looks like we're going down the rabbit hole. Yeah, so we're still going. Still going. Okay, So, okay, so we found a key.txt file. So let's output that here and have a look. Okay, so this looks like it's going to be our key, which is going to allow us access to SSH. So I'm just going to go ahead and copy all of that. And I'm going to create that SSH key on my local system. So I'll just do that in the lower right hand area. Right. So let's use nano to tilde SSH ID underscore RSA, and I'm going to paste that key in that we just found. I'm going to exit there and save that. I'm just going to double check that looks okay. Okay, it looks like it's alright, sitting in that folder now. So I think we've found everything we wanted to find in the FTP access area. So the next thing I'll do is I'll exit out of FTP, and I'm going to go back to my SSH. I'm going to try once more. Okay, so it looks like we might be getting there now, but it's saying that our permission to 2 wide open on our SSH key, which is most likely very right. Okay, let's lock those down to all other users. Great, so now it looks like we're actually logged in using that SSH key as Stinky using SSH. So let's see where we've landed in Stinky's home directory. Have a quick look in here. Let's have a quick look at his desktop, and we now have another flag by the looks of it. Great, so we now have our third flag on the system, as well as access to one of the local user accounts, Stinky via SSH. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is just have a little bit of a browse around. So let's go up a level and go into the documents folder. And we've actually found our PCAP file, which we suspect may have been used during some password login issues relating to WordPress. So let's first of all download this PCAP file using SCP. So SCP and our remote address. Oops. Let's do this from our command line there and just hit clear. So SCP Stinky, and we're going to put this PCAP file in our DerpNStink folder. That looks good to me. And the transfer there is finished. Let's have a look. Great, okay. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to open Wireshark. And I'm going to open up this PCAP file that we've just downloaded. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do, because we're looking to see if we can find any plain text credentials being passed to WordPress, is I'm going to apply a filter here for frame contains login. Okay, so we do have a view references to WordPress logins here. And we can dig into the information there. And we can see Uncle Stinky logging in with Wedgie57, which we already know. Let's have a quick look further down. Okay, so it looks like we found something interesting here. So the user account Mr. Derp, which is no longer present on WordPress, was being used to log in with a very long password here, derp, 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 derp. So this looks like the password which I'm going to actually go ahead and copy. And I'm now going to go ahead and try my luck for Mr. Derp over SSH. So let's change our SSH user now to Mr. Derp. And I'm going to paste in that very long Derp password. Great. So we now have access as the user Mr. Derp to the system. So again, I'm going to very quickly see if there's any treasures lying around. Let's have a look at that on the desktop. Is there a helpdesk.log file? So they're discussing issue with sudoers. We're also even referencing a pastebin page there, which I'm going to copy just on the off chance that's anything interesting. Don't forget to visit the self-help webpage. So why don't we go ahead and just bring over my browser again. Let's have a look at that webpage. Okay, so it's saying that looks like an entry for the sudoers file that Mr. Derp can run any binaries which start with the file name derpy in the binaries directory in his home folder. Interesting. So this might be how we manage to finish off and get to root. So first of all, let's just see if I can sudo, and I'm just going to copy in his password again. See if it'll allow me to elevate my privileges. Okay, so it doesn't, but it does give us another confirmation that we can run the following commands there. Clear that down, and let's just double check if they have a binaries folder at present, which they don't. So let's go ahead and make that folder. So we can now see there's a binaries folder made there. And now we're going to want to actually put something inside it. So let's just simply copy the binary sh to this location. But we'll call it derpy sh. And we'll just check that that's worked okay. Yep, it has. And now let's see if we can actually run that using sudo. Great, so it looks like we are now root on the system. The final thing I'll do is have a look in the root directory, and we'll have a look in the desktop, and we see we have found our final flag, which is there. So thanks very much to the people who put the VM together. This was a lot of fun, DerpNStink. Please feel free to comment in the comments area about any other techniques you found, how you managed to get the flags and get to root which are different to mine. And also subscribe if you enjoy this channel and you want me to post some more walkthrough videos. Thanks very much for watching.